Hello, this is Real History with Melissa, and today is Thursday, the 12th of October, 2023. And it is the second Thursday of the month, and so that means that I'm on with Neil Foster. And we're excited today to be joined by Angry North and Boris's Bitches, a really excellent songwriter, singer, doing some great protest music. So, hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Thanks for having me as well, of course. I thought Neil was going to say hi as well.
Oh, that's
you're the guest. You're the guest. I'm very polite.
Well, I'll just mention, too, that he is from the northern part of the UK, and so we've just been having a little bit of offline chat about accents and so forth, and so now you all know as much as I do. So do you want to just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, okay. So, I write protest music, what you could call protest music, or just honest music, honest songs. Started doing it in 2020, really. The masses who comply with their own destruction, and like from the elite's perspective, who want to do away with them. I think musically that's a good track. It's got some. It starts off very calm, but it's got some fire to it, especially in the sort of mid-late bridge section. And that's somebody else was sort of saying some nice things about that recently. I thought, yeah, it is a good song. There's this podcast in the UK called Starfish Troopers Podcast. And he's played it a couple of times apparently, and he played it again recently. And he complimented the video on that one as well. So that's Operation Depop. Another one, Totalitarianism, which is just kind of the perspective of just wanting to say, as if you're talking to the obedient, compliant masses, and we know what they think because they're so unwilling to consider that they might be wrong. We know what they think of us, and it's sort of the song kind of recognises that and acknowledges that, and it tries to boil it down. Just let's lay this out. What I'm concerned about is totalitarianism and the removal of human rights for everybody, including you, and that's what's going on here. And if you can't see it yet, what the hell? But it's quite a catchy song.
I think, Neil, wasn't that one of the very first ones? Didn't we play a little clip of that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a song for all the normal things out there who still don't see what's going on, or just can't admit that they've been so wrong for so long. Play it for one. Well, you can call me any kind of theorist that you like. You can diss me with a vague old lazy second-hand soundbite. And I know it makes no difference, the strength of evidence I cite. 'Cause if you're not a liar, you're willfully blind and your head's not right. To stare into a hole in the ground, you only need eyesight. And when you're buried 6 feet down, you've no use for hindsight. Conspiracies, they don't exist in the world that you see. But just how open do you need things to be? Totalitarianism, that's what's bothering me. Could I put it more plainly? How can you still not see? Authoritarianism intensifying so rapidly.
Alan used to give me this visual image of all of the words that are spoken or sung or written. He'd say, let's just say, way up there, if you believe in space and the moon, then the words that have been spoken and shared publicly, they go up to the moon and back and up and back and up and back. And he'd say, thousands, millions of times. And he said, and how many of those words matter? And I don't have a lot of time for listening to music, but Ed Sheeran, and I don't want to just go slamming people or slanging and trash talk, but it's a name I've heard and heard and heard. Oh, he's the big thing. And so the other day I said, well, okay, I'm going to check it out. And I just have to share with you that I found nothing worthwhile in the music. But it's got such a huge reach. And of course, that's authorized and it's promoted and there's a big machine there. And I can see certain charms, just like you said about Oliver Anthony. I can see it. But when I listen to the music and what is being said, I think, why? Why bother? But people...
Yeah.
They want that feel-good thing to have their thoughts provoked. They're just not interested in.
I think their expectations have been low to such a degree that they celebrate mediocrity. And most of this stuff is mediocre at best, if not just drivel.
Yeah.
There's no reality to it. There's no real sentiment to it.
No.
He's whatever that Sheeran singing these. I remember him when he first came out. I think he's Irish, isn't he? And,
no, I think he's. No, I don't think so.
No,
maybe from home counties or something like that.
Yeah.
He's from Southern England. He's got that Southern England accent.
All right. Well, he was very, very young, and he's singing all these love songs. And I'm thinking, what's this guy know about it?
Yeah.
He's too young to have all these experiences, so somebody's writing the songs for him, right? He ain't writing them himself.
And then
he's just writing them in a kind of formulaic. This is the kind of thing you write a hit song about.
Yeah, told to do it. Yeah.
And this was some concert, and then he said to the audience, he's got his acoustic guitar, and he said to the audience, "Well, this is all live. Nothing is pre-recorded." And then he explained to them that he had this thing. It was some kind of a loop. I don't remember now what it was called.
Loop pedal. Yeah.
A loop pedal. And then he demonstrated. So he played a little riff, and then he played it back to them on the loop pedal. And then he added and he overlaid. And it's like, no, sunshine. A live performance is when you go out there with your acoustic guitar and you play a song from the heart. That's a live show. What you're doing is recorded loops. I don't care what you call it, and you're layering them and layering them and layering. So, but the point is not to argue about that. The point is, it's a shtick, and this is what the public have been trained to respond to, like Pavlov's dogs. It's like the laugh track on a situation comedy. This is where you laugh. This is where you feel. This is where I tug your heartstrings. This is where we sing about love and, all of the stuff that goes in there. So I think that true protest from the heart and then the mind there that has something meaningful to say, that kind of music is for, right off the bat, a limited audience.
Very true, yeah. Yeah, and I think, that what you're describing, my kids listen to Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift and so on, so I hear that stuff fairly regularly. But I know what it's very, very samey, and the lyrics mean nothing, or they're about really kind of light, incidental, meaningless, personal stuff, day to day and whatever. But Ed Sheeran is as successfully as because he does that stuff, and that's what the system wants to. Mm-hmm. That's what the system wants everyone listening to. So you have to be that successful. You have to be doing vacuous music like that. And I'd even extend that to good old Oliver Anthony. His stuff's it's obviously different in style, and he's got this image of the authentic hillbilly with integrity. and that's obviously reeled a few people in, really has, combined with whatever promotion has been going on behind the scenes. But I think there's similarities there. He's not perhaps quite as obviously vacuous as Ed Sheeran, but yeah, I fully accept what you're saying, and that my stuff will always have a very limited potential audience, and not least, I do acknowledge as well, I can't sing. That doesn't help either. But
I disagree. I disagree.
That's very nice of you.
I'm sorry.
I was at an open mic session once, right? And I wasn't performing in it, but there was a guy there, and he had a guy who was his friend who was trying to promote him, and he did his bit, and I can't remember the song, but it was a well-known song, and he was standing behind me, and he was saying to his manager guy, how do you think that went? And he said, I didn't think I sang that very well. And I turned around and said, you know what? I says, your biggest problem is he sang something that everybody knew. If you sung something that was slightly less well known and you sang it well, rather than try and sing a song that you couldn't sing, you'd have gotten a lot better. And he kind of looked at me. I says, well, if you sing something that everybody knows, they're going to expect it to sound exactly like that, and you'll never be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that the Ed Sheeran type of character, they picked him for what he can do and say, right, here's what you're going to get, this is what you're going to sing, this is what the people want, and we'll make you famous. There you go.
But the idea that somebody just shoots up, and they're saying, well, Oliver Anthony is an internet sensation. He got a big audience, and my position on this is no, that is not how it happened. He was launched with intention on the internet.
Oh yeah.
This was their way of launching it. So, and then they can say, the people have spoken. I think you actually said the people have spoken in the piece that you did on him, but that this is how it is done, and all of the coverage, and I mean massive coverage that he has received. I think Rolling Stone twice, perhaps, Los Angeles Times, New York Times, Forbes, the different Variety, which is a Hollywood magazine, and the music industry. Well, they're all promoting him, and magazines and papers don't do that.
I don't think he's been promoted to all of the American public. I think he's been promoted to the Republican side of it. I think he's probably got the Trump supporters going along to his concerts and things, because that's the kind of background I would imagine he has. I don't think he's a left-wing liberal.
I'm not so sure about that because, well, first of all, the piece put up a few days ago, whenever on his site, the career update, you showed a little tweet that he had made supporting Biden. Now, he said that. He said, I stand behind, he's my president, et cetera, et cetera. And none of those publications that I have mentioned, not one of them is aimed at a Trump-supporting conservative Republican or whatever. None of them. They are all mainstream, and I think it's safe to say that American mainstream press is liberal-leaning, left-leaning. So he is being promoted internationally, but within the States, he's being promoted to everyone. And I think the headline that I saw not too long ago in the New York Times said, Democrats better not write him off, or something to that effect. In other words, the left needs to take him seriously. So I think you summed it up beautifully in that piece that you put out a while back when you said you think that he is being used for purposes that he doesn't understand, and I believe you're dead on.
Apologies, I didn't see that tweet, so that's my mistake.
Yeah.
Well, it was, I believe it was a Facebook post, actually, that he put up. But I think it's scrubbed, and I think he denies supporting Biden. So if you look now for, Oliver Anthony supports Biden or something, you get these mainstream media articles saying that he denies it and stuff. But I think, it's also a really quite it comes across. I mean, I don't know whether it's actually authentic. It comes across as a bit like weirdly written and a bit like somebody wrote it who's a bit thick, and it might not be genuine, but it might be that that's where he was at then, and then he had some kind of conversation with somebody that's going to be very influential in his career, and like this needs to be what this is the kind of song that needs to be done now, and is going to break you through. We've got a plan for your career, and this is how it's going to be. So of course, even now he's very very careful to say, I'm neither right nor left. I'm a centrist, which gives him the option to go either way in the future. But he's so clearly trying to say, leave me out of politics, and yet of course in his view, it's all about the rich men north of Richmond. There's so much of it that I just don't buy.
No, did either of you see...
Maybe I'll get a gig at the Democratic Convention. Absolutely.
I could see the way he's being positioned, he could easily sing at an event that features RFK Jr., it's completely middle of the road. Did either of you ever see an old movie that was made in the late 50s called A Face in the Crowd?
I recall the title, but I never saw it, I don't think.
Okay, it's Andy Griffith, who is, was known for the Andy Griffith Show, kind of bubblegum mainstream American television. But this is a movie that I know about because of Alan, and I watched it with him, and it's quite good. And the story is, there's a drunk who just kind of goes around in bars and hangs out with his guitar. And he strums a little bit, but mostly he just gets drunk and gets into trouble. Well, a savvy television producer spots him, cleans him up, and she turned him into the singing down-home, aw shucks sensation that she needed. The ratings shot right up. It becomes a huge hit. And then he is used for all manner of things, including political endorsements. And so you see it's a cynical view of how it works. But when I was looking at your piece that you did, the career update, I thought of that in regards to Oliver Anthony, because he rises all the way to the top. He's got the money, the acclaim, and everything. It goes to his head, and of course he blew it. And I think in the final scene, the producer says, well, you'll still work on television, and you'll still have this and that, but you will never again be at that peak. That's over. So, and when you look at entertainment, authorized entertainment, you're looking at a giant machine, and the machine has people who operate it, and they've got to keep it fueled, so to speak, with talent. Or what they tell us is talent.
Well, I mean, it's you could go back to like the big thing of my day when I was a teenager, 18, 19, whatever, 16, 17. The Sex Pistols, right? John Lydon.
If you think of the word integrity as meaning of a whole or the wholeness of something, that's what your music has. It's the whole you that comes through in what you create. I don't even know you.
So that is what I'm going for, yeah. Obviously, I know I'm not a technically good singer. My voice just breaks all over the place. But it is all genuine, so glad to hear that comes across.
Well, I used to be a soprano in the school choir, and my voice broke, and I was so happy.
Yeah, you've got quite a serious deep voice, haven't you?
I'm probably talking too much. To people who don't want to listen, Listen, will you listen? Yeah.